Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostle. I hope you're having a fantastic day. How is everybody doing? I'm a little bit late, but I can explain. It's because something very strange happened. I was taking a nap, and then suddenly I was woken up, and this donkey came to me, and I was sat on the back of the donkey, and then the donkey started running and running, and then went up to the sky. As he was going to the sky, he said, "Hey, I have to go back quickly." So the donkey went down to the ground again and started doing his business, and I had to wait in the corner. And I was like, "What is going on? I mean, you should have prepared for this." And then I said, "I have a live stream anyway. I have to go." So he went away, and we'll meet up again sometime. But yeah, that's why I was late. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. And hello, Mahleej. Is that right? Am I saying this right, Mahleej?
Yeah, Mahleej.
Oh, wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I get one of those donkeys? I really don't like driving. I could use one of those donkeys.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It's like some scary thing brought the donkey to me. I don't know how to contact them. They didn't leave a number or anything. They'll
Yeah.
probably come back sometime. I'll talk about them. I'll talk about you to them. Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yeah,
Talk to your
wonderful.
gins about the donkey.
Dude. Yeah. So how are you doing? What's up?
I am doing very well. I want to say thank you so much for having me here. You are like, I have like butterflies because I have been a huge fan of you. I started watching you. Well, I started watching David Wood, and then I was introduced to you. So you were like the prophet in the ex-Muslim, like you have the name, of the
Yeah.
community. So I'm very happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It means a lot. I declared myself prophet, so it worked. I kind of did exactly what Muhammad did. Uh, I
And
appreciate it.
you have followers. We follow you as a prophet, unlike some other people that claim they're other, scholars
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
Like you are actually the prophet for
yeah.
ex-Muslims.
That's fantastic. And soon I want to reveal my true plans for the world anyway, and then everyone will have to submit.
Yes, master.
Uh, um, all right, to you. So I introduced you basically in the title as Miss Pakistan Mahleej Sarkari, and that's all I know. I know a little bit more, but so people have been kind of talking. People have been curious about your background. You have a mixed background, as far as I understand, right? Not just a Muslim background. Can you briefly explain where you came from and what your background is and where you are?
Okay. So I personally was born in Pakistan, in Karachi. My dad's side of the family comes from a different side, and my mom's side of the family comes from a different side. So let's start with my mom's side of the family. My grandfather was a Zoroastrian, and he fell in love with my grandmother, who was a Muslim at that time. And this is going before the partition. So obviously, my grandmother wanted to marry him. In Zoroastrians, you can't convert. You have to be born a Zoroastrian. You have to have like the blood of a Zoroastrian. So what my grandmother did was she converted to Christianity, and they got married, right? So then they had kids. My mother wasn't like forced into any particular religion, so she knew a little bit both about Christianity. She knew about Zoroastrianism. But when my mom got married, my dad's side of the family, they were Muslims. So my mom converted, and she became Muslim. So I was born from my father's side of, obviously your religion goes from your father's side in Islam. So my dad was a Muslim. So I got to grow up in like two very different families. When I went to my dad's side, they were like the landlords. They lived in a village, and it was all like, covering up. Women were not allowed to go out to work, no education. But on my mom's side of the family, everybody was allowed to go to school. They were very open minded. It was just two different day and night, and they lived in the city. So I got to see both of these things. But both of them were not very religious, even though they were Muslims. My dad was Muslim, my uncle they were Muslim. They didn't really pray 5 times a day, they didn't fast. But when it came to women and all that stuff, then they were Muslim. They applied all those rules to that. So that's a little bit of background. So I grew up as a Muslim, and then will tell you the rest of the story.
That's very interesting. So wait, let me shift here. Okay. So Zoroastrian background combined with Christianity, converts to Islam, marries the Muslim side, and then you come forth from that family with a Muslim
Mhm.
background, but also from one side with a mixed Zoroastrian Christian background. That is
Yeah.
very interesting. I never heard that before. Maybe it's common where you come from, but
Mhm.
is it Parsi, the Zoroastrian background?
Parsi.
Is that
Yes. Yes.
that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Parsi is what Zoroastrians are called in the Indian
India. Yeah.
culture. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
They're the Parsi community. Yeah. But they
Okay.
came from, obviously they came from Iran, right? So a lot of people look at me and they're like, you look very Persian. I get that a lot. And that's where my looks come from my mom's side of the family. But my dad's side of the family, they all came from Afghanistan. Like if you go into the background, they're called Balochis. They didn't live in Balochistan per se, but they were Balochis like my ancestors.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, and Parsi is in reference to Persia, right? That's the logic here, I
Yeah.
think. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, amazing. Did you get some form of religious or cultural education that you adopted from the Zoroastrian background, or was that very much gone in your
No,
generation?
not much, but I always saw my grandfather praying. Like he used to get up in the morning and I would see him like stand there and do his thing when I was young. But that's about it. And then we knew about Noroz, the New Year. I always, whoever I came across that was Parsi has always been a very nice person. And yeah, no, not much. Like I knew they go to a Agyari. I knew like how they, burn their dead. I know who they worship, who their prophet is, like the basic things. Um, but yeah, they are a very small community. They are dying down. Like I said before, they wouldn't allow anybody to convert because they're now almost getting, you don't find too many Parsis. So now they've allowed people to marry outside of their religion or they can convert.
Okay, so it was very much an ethno-religious thing, but now they're
Yeah.
allowing that. Yeah, that's what I learned about Zoroastrianism when I got introduced to it. That it is kind of exclusive in terms of
Yeah.
whether you can join it or not. Um, just out of curiosity, how would as far as you remember, how would your grandfather pray? Like, how could you describe it? Was it similar to the Islamic way of praying? How
Oh
was it?
no. No, and he was pretty old, right? So I'm not too sure if he was praying like that because of that, but he used to have like a what do you call it, like a string, and he would like kind of pray on that and he would tie it around his waist. He would stand up, sit down on the bed. So that's how I saw him. But it was nothing like and he didn't do it like 5 times a day. It was like
Hmm,
once in the morning and stuff. I don't think he was very religious either.
hmm,
What I found in my mom's side of the family, even my grandmother, even though she had no education, she was very open minded. She married a non-Muslim. Like her family, everybody left her because she married a non-Muslim at that time, and she converted to Christianity. So she was a very open minded person, and so was my grandfather. He was very well educated. So I got to experience all that. Like even my mom in the 60s, she was allowed to wear dresses. They were allowed to go out. There were pubs up there. So they were very open-minded compared to my dad's side of the family.
hmm.
Like in the village, when we would go there, I was young, but when I was becoming of age, I would have to cover my face. Like when we drove through the main village, nobody could see us because we were the landlord's daughters,
Hmm.
right? So it was like day and night. I would go to my grandmother's house and I would have all this freedom. And then I would go, whenever our dad was around, we were just like, we had to kind of behave. So I used to love going to my grandma's house because I had all this freedom, right?
How long did you stay there? When was it that you left Pakistan and moved to Canada?
I was about 12 or 13. Yeah. So I was almost a teenager when I came here. So I was kind of like just transitioning. But it's another story how we came here and all that stuff too. So
I
that,
understand. I see. Well, there's a lot. I don't even know where to go with that stuff. I'm still kind of stuck on the whole Zoroastrian background. Zoroastrians initially went there to India because of persecution by
Mhm.
Muslims, by
Yes.
Islam in the Persian culture, right? That's how
Mhm.
the Parsi community in India formed, as far as I understand it and as far as I remember. And when it comes to their prayers and their forms of worship, as far as I have learned it, they are not obligated to pray so many times a day. They are just encouraged to
Mhm.
worship every day. But their focus is more on knowledge, on knowing the good.
Mhm. It's the
Uh,
teaching of Zertosh, right? They're
uh-huh,
the messenger, you can say. So it's the teaching. It's like Buddha. He's not a god, but it's a teaching of Buddha, right? So
uh-huh,
that's what they follow. And for me, not knowing the religion, but growing up in that atmosphere where I always saw my father respecting my grandmother, like she ruled the house. She made the decisions, you know. We had Hindus coming over in that house. We had Christians coming in that house. We had doesn't matter Muslims coming in their house in our house, like, you know. So it was all mixed. We never saw anybody, keep their plates separate, or that, the division, you would say.
mhm, mhm,
I didn't see that even in my dad's side of the family. Like, there were other non-Muslims that came there, even though they were very uneducated village people. um like I said, they were not very religious, but sometimes people pick and choose what part of religion they want to use for their own benefit. And but they were very misogynistic, definitely.
mhm, mhm. You won the Miss Pakistan World 2007 competition, so you became is it called a beauty queen then?
Yes.
Yes, so you became beauty queen of Miss Pakistan in 2007. How did that happen? How did you get into that from this misogynistic upbringing? How do you get to that?
You know what? I used to believe in karma, so I would have kind of say it was a karma from my dad's side. But it's just, I don't know. So I'll back it up a little bit and just kind of tell you how I got to Canada, and
Uh-huh.
then tell you how. So the inspiration obviously came from the Bollywood movies, because my grandfather, he was from India. He only went to Pakistan because of my grandmother. Long story short, so otherwise he would have, like, my mom's always like, "Why did you go there? You should have just stayed in India," But he was so much in love with her. He, like, you talk about true love, so he went there. Um, so what had happened is, when my mom had gotten married to my dad, she was in a very abusive relationship. He
Mhm.
was very abusive. He would beat her up all the time. He almost tried to kill her one time. And like, those memories, I've kind of suppressed them, but it was just like, as soon as we used to hear his honk his horn, knew that he was home, we would just tuck ourselves in, and we would just, like, pretend we're sleeping. Or we knew either mom was getting beaten up, and when I was getting older, he was coming on to me, then it was me that I would get in between, and I would get beat up. Like, I remember he banged my head against the wall one time. He was a kind of like a guy. I remember we were in an ice cream shop, and I was just looking straight, and a boy just walked across, and he's telling me to control my eyes. It was just like really, really negative, bad atmosphere. So when he wouldn't divorce my mom either, because he was like, "Well, you can take hula, and you have to go to court, and I'll keep the girls. You will never get it," because they were powerful people. So all that stuff. But then he died. When he died, my mom kind of wanted to, convert back out of this religion, because obviously she couldn't do anything. But we were getting threatened from my dad's side of the family that if you do convert, and if you try to go anywhere, we'll all be killed. So I don't know how my mom managed, because I was so young at that time. She just took us somehow, and she ran to Canada, and we came here as refugees. Yeah, so, but when we came here, my mom gave me all the freedom, because she was brought up in that kind of atmosphere, and that kind of family, that I wanted to pursue into acting and modeling and all that stuff. So she was always there. And that's when I came across this pageant called Miss Pakistan World, even though I didn't tell too many people that I was Pakistani, because I used to wear a bikini, and people would be like, "Oh my God, a Pakistani girl wearing bikini, blah, blah, blah." So anyhow, I competed, and I actually won the second year. I competed twice, and the second year I won, and then I
Oh.
represented it internationally. When I came back, I went to China in a Miss Tourism pageant, and when I came back, what that company did was they did a publicity stunt. They made a story about me and Musharraf, who was the president at that time in Pakistan, and the Balochis were hating on him. So they made up this story that this Balochi girl is in love with Musharraf, and she wants to marry him, blah blah blah. So I went very viral, and this is going back in 2008. When I did that pageant, it was I never even thought that, my life is going to change so drastically after that, because I got trolled so bad, and it was threats. You can't even imagine. This is going back in 2008 when YouTube was very new, and I had a different channel which was hacked and deleted and stuff. But people were like, this girl should be murdered. This girl should be shot. Her head should be shaved. She should be shot between her eyes. And this is me living in Canada. I was just like, what is going on here? And then I was getting threats in Canada. Not only in Pakistan, I was getting threats in Canada. I wasn't personally getting it, but that organization was, because they had my number and stuff. But I was scared, genuinely scared here.
And you weren't Muslim anymore at this point, right?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't, but what they did, they said that I was a Muslim. And when I told that woman that runs that organization, I'm like, you're not doing this right, because everyone's going to come after me now. She's like, well, nobody's going to care if it's a Christian girl, that wears a bikini. So this was her own words. So this was my great awakening in the media, how things are manipulated, how news is manipulated. I went on to a very big show in Pakistan. We went to Dubai, and we were I couldn't even speak my language properly at that time. So she kind of made a lot of fun of us. They went on and defamed us. They were like, oh, these girls got arrested. It was a lot of drama. So this all happened in 2008. And then I just kind of went underground. Not underground, but I just kind of stopped everything after I was done with my term. 2 years later, I was like, okay, I want to go to Pakistan, because, I spent my childhood there. So I wanted to go there and see the places that I lived, my grandmother's house and stuff like that. So I went back, and then I did work a little bit in Pakistan as well. I just never spoke about religion. I always spoke about women's rights, and I always spoke about bold topics, the hypocrisy of Pakistanis and human rights issues and stuff. And I did that even on, a lot of channels. I went there and I would wear dresses and stuff, so I was pushing my limits, but it was not very safe for me, because I was always looking over my shoulder and all that. Last time I was there was in 2012. And then I came here back, met someone, had a baby. But this whole journey of Islam, I had left Islam a long time. When my mother left Islam, I just left it because she left it. It wasn't like, oh, Islam teaches you this, Islam teaches you that. It was nothing to do with that. It was in 2017 when there was a motion filed here called M103, Islamophobia motion, right? So that kind of got my attention. I'm like, wait a minute, this is like blasphemy law, And I'm like, well, because all this thing was happening around me, because I was in the Muslim community, I was in the Pakistani community, and I couldn't see it. It was just kind of taking a step back and seeing what's happening around me. So yeah, I started talking a lot about Islam at that time, but I still didn't know the inside hadiths and ayats and all that. I started following you, then David would show all this, and then I saw Haris invited me. And now I'm just like, wow, I didn't even know all this stuff. And now I know all this stuff. And I'm just it just boggles my mind.
Well, that explains how you got into this whole activism about Islam and Muslim culture. I mean, it's a thing. People kind of expect you, especially if they are on the other side and if they are critical, they expect you to be a former, very religious Muslim who comes out and then leaves Islam and criticizes it. But that doesn't necessarily have to be true. You have a history. You know the history of your mother and yourself. You know why. You know your own history with Islam. You know a history of oppression and of trouble, of trauma, of big trauma. And then here you are in this country, far away from that, with your freedom. And this country brings something into the politics which protects that abusive uh, belief, that abusive culture that your family fled from
Mhm.
criticism. And that is, I
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
just
like I've been here
disgusting.
25 years, and if you were to tell me when we came here that I would be seeing this, because when we left, like you don't understand the feeling when we got onto that plane, like the whole ride in the taxi to the airplane, we were just like, if somebody finds us, we're dead. We're dead. We're gone. You know, no, there's no law, there's no nothing. When people have money and power, they can do whatever they want. When that plane took off, that's when we were just like, oh, finally, now no one can come and catch us. And even when we came here, it was like for a long time we were scared that someone's gonna find us, and it's just that fear to get over. But yeah, 25 years later, you find this. And now I can relate, because at that time when I saw all that stuff happening on the women, believe me, like my uncles, like, I saw them literally kill their wives. Like they would beat them up. They were just barbaric with their women, and I couldn't relate to it, why they were like that. Now I can relate to it. Oh, this is why they were like that. This is why my mother couldn't leave him, because Islam doesn't allow a woman to divorce. So the dots kind of connected, that
Yeah.
why their brainwashing is done, even though they don't have to pray 5 times a day. But when it comes to women, alhamdulillah, we're Muslim, you know?
So
And our,
a decade ago, you probably didn't even really make the connection between Islam and what happened. It was more to you like, why is this happening? But
Mhm.
now it comes out that Islam is very much at the root of
Yeah,
all these problems, and naturally you want to
yeah.
spread your opinions and your voice about that. I truly appreciate that.
I did have like few questions. Like I remember asking my mom this question when I was in Pakistan, and I was like, when did Islam come to life? And she's like 1400 years ago. And I was just like, I'm like, so how do you know? And this was me young, and I'm like, so how do you know that it didn't get changed in between? Because I always give an example. That telephone game that you
Yeah,
play. You have
yeah.
10 people and you say one thing, and then by the time you hear from the 10th person, so imagine that for 1400 years. And then she told me, look, about Christianity that came first. And I was like, okay, so wait a minute. That religion came first, and then that one came. So God's not sure which one is the right religion. He keeps bringing different ones. So these questions were always in my brain. But because I was never forced to, you know, read namaz 5 times or keep fasts and stuff, it was just like I had to be a good girl. You know,
Hmm.
I didn't even have to cover. Like my dad was a hypocrite when we were in the city, and he had like all these elite friends. He would want me to wear jeans. He would want my mom to dress nice so he could show off to people how open minded he was.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, at home, he's beating the crap out of everyone. So he was such a hypocrite. But when we would go to the village, it was like niqab, like not even niqab. You had to
Yeah,
cover the
yeah.
whole thing.
That's the funny thing about the hypocrisy that's very prominent in Muslim culture. I mean, many of us experience this, where uh, they cannot control very much, or they don't care very much, or they want to be, more, I guess, more comfortable outside. But when it comes to going back to the tradition, to the family, for my family, for example, it was when we go back to Turkey to visit grandparents and relatives, then everything must be very, respectable and good and traditional
Yeah.
and all that and Islamic. It is just weird. The thing is, with Muslim culture, you say your father wasn't even that strict on religious matters. People weren't even that
Mm,
strict on religious matters, but at the root, they still had this problem with women and the rights of women and how women should be oppressed. And
mm,
this is very much, this is because of Islam. This is an Islamic cultural feature, that
mm,
even if people are not very religious, even if they are not very devout, even if they don't observe their religion very much and don't pray enough, they will still go back to what Islam teaches them about women in terms of controlling them, in terms of shaming them, in terms of making them cover up, or otherwise forcing them to cover up and forcing them to act a certain way. So
mm.
these are the fruits of the Islamic culture which you experienced. And yeah,
Well,
your
there's a
your
lot of,
screen is a little bit, the quality is a little bit low on your camera. I guess it's might be a
is it?
connection issue, but yeah.
Yeah, the connection. I live in the boonies. I live in North Pole.
Oh.
I live far away from all the, everyone always thinks, do you live in Brampton or Mississauga? And I'm like, no, I live far away from there. I'm the only brown person in this town. So let's
Interesting.
you know what it is in Pakistan, and also this problem is in the Asian subcontinent, the feudalism in a lot of villages, so you have these landlords and then they own all these little peasants and stuff. So they always, and you can hear that like from even in Punjabis and Balochis and the Pathans are known that they're the most strict out of all four people that for four different cultures that are in Pakistan, right? Pathans are the ones in the north, the KPK, and they're very strict. It's like an honor is like huge for them. In same thing in Balochis, honor is a huge thing, and that's what it was all about. My dad, honor, 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 and then here I am, like 10-15 years later, Miss Pakistan in a bikini, and the same village I belong to, all these people have like my phone, my picture on their phones. So that's why I say it's karma. The more you try to suppress my mother and everything else, boom, look. And but a lot of people are proud too. Like I talked to some of my cousins and stuff, and they're very happy that I am doing this. And it's funny because some of those women that are in the villages don't know about Islam. So I was talking to one of them the other day. She was talking about inheritance, right? And she was like, well, our laws suck because, we can't even go after our inheritance. And I'm like, it's not your law. It's your Allah actually that gave you that half of like inheritance. It's not the law. The law is according to Allah. And then I had a conversation with her where we talked about Aisha's age, and she didn't believe it. So she went and talked to the imam, and she confirmed it, and she came back and she was like, oh, I can't believe like that was. So a lot of these people don't even know about Islam. A lot of these women don't know about it. So when I speak up and when I talk to them, they're shocked as much as me. I was shocked too. Yeah. So
I mean, it's not even in these cultures. They are not even religious enough. I mean, the things that are done in terms of the rights of women or how much women are supposed to be controlled. These cultures are not even religious enough. If you came to the expectations of how religious they are supposed to be, it would be much worse. I mean, there are certain hints. I mean, people know of certain movements. You know of certain Islamic movements within Pakistan. You have the neighbor in Afghanistan, the Deobandis and the Taliban, and you have similar movements within Pakistan that advocate for similar things. You are not even supposed to show any skin, be part of society, be part in, be part of your of the face of your village. You are supposed to be hidden into a veil and put into a house that you are not supposed to leave unless you absolutely have to, and so on. And I mean that is the Islamic belief. That is the Islamic view. That's the Islamic culture. Would you ever go back to Pakistan again? Would you ever want to go back there?
Well, you know what? I went back 3 times, and the first time I went there, right? So what I would do, I would wear like a wife beater, and then I had a dupatta around me. But then, and then I rented a car because, like, if you took like $2,000 to Pakistan, you could live like a king for a month. Yeah. So I rented a car with a chauffeur with big bag and stuff. But then later on, I kind of covered myself, and then I also got robbed at gunpoint right in the middle of a roundabout. The cops were right up there, but it was a different experience the first time I went there because I didn't know too many people. Second time it was okay, but second time I ended up locked up for like 2 weeks because the situation wasn't that great, and I was renting this room from some people, and then they shut down Facebook and stuff. This was around that time. But the third time when I went there, I hung out with the cream crowd, the rich people. Oh my God, I saw Pakistan in a total different way. Went to parties. There would be restaurants we'd go to. We bring our own bottles. Like, I drank more in 4 months in Pakistan than I have drank in Canada. There were parties, there was drugs, there was prostitution, there was anything you asked for, it was happening up there. But, I had a really good time at that time. But you always have to take care of your security. You just don't know when a crazy person is going to come and blow you up. or
It's,
hurt you.
that's the thing. There's
Um,
always a risk of things going really bad in that
yeah,
society.
but I can't go now because at that time, anything I was doing, I was not talking about the religion. I was talking about women's issue, but I never. Now I've said like Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile and stuff. So I don't think I can go to any Muslim country anymore.
Yeah, you
I might
shouldn't
not be
go
allowed
there.
in India either. My
I
mom's
mean,
like, you gotta keep your mouth shut. You're shutting down your doors.
we just had an incident. I mean, this this Sri Lankan manager of a factory in
Mhm.
Pakistan was just brutally lynched by hundreds of people and burned, kicked,
Yeah.
and all that, and people justified that, and that happened only because that guy apparently, according to a rumor, ripped a poster with Islamic verses, with Islamic texts on it,
Yeah.
ripped it from the wall and put it into a trash or something, and
Yeah.
that's
I think
only
it
a
said
rumor.
Ya Ali or something on it. And
Oh.
so if we go back, let's go back. And this is when I also was hearing about Mishal Khan. I think it was about 2017 or stuff. And this guy was a young student, college student, good looking guy,
Mhm.
He was lynched to death for blasphemy, but he didn't do any blasphemy. He was just open-minded person, a rational person. Later on, it was found that he didn't put anything, but he was lynched the same way. They beat him up first. This is what they do. They beat the person up first with sticks, then they will strip your clothes off, then they will drag you around with a car all around town, and then they will set your body on fire. In some cases, they have hung these bodies off the trees. So there was another case in the same place you're talking about, Salkot. There was another case, I believe, 10 years ago, where they did the same thing to two brothers. And they said, oh, these were the thieves and this and that, but it was like a personal grudge. It wasn't blasphemy case. But you were talking about these people that come and defend it. I've had 2 or 3 people, these guys that come there and they defend it. They're like, no, what has happened is good. I think it's about time, like you were saying, people don't know what real Islam is, especially in Pakistan. They just want to be Islamic. Most of these guys that are coming there, we want this, we want Sharia law, they won't survive a day because the amount of porn Pakistan watches, first thing they're going to do is shut down your internet and porn's gone. So you guys are
Mhm.
going to go nuts. So that's why I tell them, I'm like, wait till the real Sharia comes. Then you guys will know what Islam is. Because these guys, there was a guy, he came there and he was like, Taliban is our hero. Like they come and say these bold statements. And yeah, it just like boggles my mind how you can do that. But Pakistan, I think, is going in that direction with the TLP is getting so much stronghold up there. The government can't really do anything about them. So I highly suggest they should go to Sharia law, complete
Yeah,
Sharia law.
yeah, yeah. By the way, everyone, don't forget to please do not forget to like this stream and to share it with your family and your grandparents and all that. And also go and subscribe to Mahleej's channel. She has a new channel in English that I just linked in the description box. You can find it right there and subscribe. She will share more stuff. And she also has an Urdu channel for all those who are interested in that. That is also in the description box. So please go and subscribe, support her voice. And thanks, everybody. Mahleej, I would definitely not suggest going to Pakistan after the things that you have said. I mean, the things that I mean, we have an incident that was not in Pakistan, that was in Afghanistan, I believe. But this woman, Farhunda something, she was brutally murdered as well. Just 2000, I don't know, 15 or something. A woman was brutally lynched by a mob and killed, and there are videos of that still available to watch.
Yeah.
Kicked and brutally killed, and over rumors. Things happen to people over rumors in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Afghanistan, and to a certain extent, it could even happen in India among Muslim communities. And
Yeah.
after all the things that you have said, after your outspoken, views, please
Oh
don't go
yeah, I've
there.
said too much now to take it back. I have even said too much, to be honest. Even so, I was working with somebody and that person was like, you've kind of, your social media presence, it's kind of hard for us to like, get a normal job because we're Islamophobes. Or, it's very hard because I do speak up very boldly. Last year, what I had done in my Urdu channel, so English channel is different, but my Urdu channel, like since 2008, till now, I've had a Facebook page and I've been trolled every single day. Every single day, the same Muslim Pakistani men will come there. They will look at my half naked pictures, in my dresses. According to them, they're naked, bikinis, whatever. They will look at it and then they will swear at me and then they'll call me, all these different kinds of names and stuff. And I didn't really care for it. I just ignored it. But last year, there was Women March happening in Pakistan. And there was this writer, famous writer, he insulted and swore at this other women's rights activist. And he literally, so I was making a reaction video to it. And in between when I was talking about women's right and all this, I saw these comments and I lost it. And that's the day I started swearing. And I just got, so that video went viral and everybody was like, oh my God, this Pakistani girl is saying all these bad words. And so I troll the trolls now. They come up there and they get trolled. It's become a fun channel. At the same time, we share some lots of information on there too. But on this more serious note is my English channel.
Yeah. Your screen is very blurred. That's what people say, but it's just connection issues, I guess. It might be just a connection. I don't.
There.
Oh. Maybe that will help a bit. So the thing is, these people know that you are not a Muslim. These people know that you have nothing to do with an Islamic background. You haven't been Muslim for a very long time now. So, but they're still in your business about how you present yourself and how you dress and all that.
Yeah.
Still
it's new people, right? It's new people that come and join my page, my Facebook page. Thanks to all that, now I just hit 1 million followers on my Facebook page.
Fantastic.
So what it tells me is that even though there is a silent majority that is listening to me, that doesn't talk, and they're scared because they can't talk. People can see what they're writing. People can go and see in their history and they can get in trouble, especially if they're living in Pakistan or Islamic countries. So they can't openly come on calls. They can't openly message and stuff, but they are listening. Otherwise, my page, why would it grow? I know there are a lot of perverts too, but believe me, every stream that I've done in the last month, I've gotten a female. And for me to see women coming out on my show and talking about and leaving Islam and talking about rationalities, even Muslim women coming on it, that was like a huge achievement. I felt really good about it because people are listening.
Wait a minute. I wasn't even aware that you have 1 million followers on Facebook. I just looked this up and I'm like, wait, I didn't know that. I barely look at Facebook. That's why I wasn't aware of that. But I'm just seeing that you have 1 million followers on Facebook. What?
Yeah, only they would monetize my stuff. I'm half monetized and half not. But that's what I'm telling you. I had somebody try to hack into it from Pakistan. They're always trying to hack my stuff. Always.
That is very funny. I had no idea. So you have a Facebook page which has 1 million followers, as it says right here, and you are quite active there. I had no clue. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. As much as I try to keep religion out of certain of my social media, like Instagram and all this, it just comes out because these people are everywhere. I swear to God, there could be a new social media platform. I'll go make an account and Pakistanis will sniff me out. It will be the Pakistanis that are first there. I'm like, where's the Canadians? Where's everybody else? I could be speaking in English or Urdu. They'll be there first. I guess there's way too many of them on the internet.
Is this you?
Yeah, that's when I won the Miss Pakistan.
So we talked about it a lot, and some people are asking. But here, this is an interview from 2007 when you won the Miss Pakistan contest.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit the quality of the video is not.
It was an amazing experience doing it, and people think pageants are oh my God, you get to look beautiful. I went to China for 3 weeks. Believe me, it was like I was in the military. You had to be ready 8 o'clock to have breakfast and look like this. Look like a beauty queen. And then they would make us walk the whole day, bring us back at 10 o'clock. And then we had to rehearse. It was like a boot camp. It was like a boot camp. But I love that experience. It's just unfortunate that my old YouTube account was deleted.
Mm-hmm.
and it had all my video from China, all my traveling, everything. Yeah, and I don't know how to like even try now to get it back. So
Wow. It would be nice. It would have been nice if you had that somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the video qualities and all of that from 2007 are
yeah,
not.
I think there is a video here. I'll share that with you if you want to show. Like when I did go to China and stuff, there's one video that I've got because everything else was deleted. Which is like it kind of just pisses me off. But what are you gonna do? But you know what? Now it's social media, and even though I loved being on TV and doing shows, you always had to bite your tongue, and I always had to control my tongue. But here,
Oh yeah, now you can freely say whatever you want. That's
yeah,
the
I don't have to
great thing
control
about it.
as much.
Not as much,
As much.
yeah.
I still do, but not as much. Yeah,
Fair enough.
definitely.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so no, it was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it.
You said you were told by the manager of that competition or of the organization, um, she wanted to keep the whole drama going and said to you nobody would be interested in a Christian woman wearing a bikini.
Oh
That's why
yeah.
they didn't clarify it. So they kind of fed off the whole drama about you as a Pakistani Muslim woman supposedly wearing a bikini and being outrageous.
Hmm. So as the news was coming in, there was news coming in every single day. And what was going on was, it started with like me liking Musharraf, and then she would be on third line, or she would be on texting me what to say. Because I didn't speak Hindi at that fluently at that time. So I couldn't even properly like put sentences together. And then it went on, oh, the media, they're like, oh, if Musharraf proposed to you, would you marry him? And then she'd be like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, oh, so there's a lot of things that I was made to say that I didn't really want to say. She made me read the Musharraf's book on the way to Dubai, 14-hour flight, because I was going to go talk about Musharraf, why I was in love with him. So, and I did like Musharraf. It's not that I didn't, because he's the only guy that came and actually did something for Pakistan, provided some women's right. The way the media is before Musharraf, it was never like that. I don't know why my screen keeps going like that. So he did.
I think it's okay right now. It's not too bad right now.
There we go. So in the media, like before that, there was like only 2 channels, but Musharraf came and he gave a lot of freedom to the media and stuff.
What about your beliefs right now? It's like, are you non-believing? Do you not believe in a supernatural anymore? Where are you?
No, and I would have to say it's listening a lot to Alib and Haris and you guys, and it's just, I don't know if there is somebody out there, but I know for sure that it's not Allah or Bhagwan or Jesus. I don't think it's those gods. If there is somebody out there, he doesn't really care about us, because if he did, then he wouldn't let all these things happening. Like, for example, if a 6-year-old is getting raped by somebody, I'm sorry, if you're a god and you're going to let that happen and enjoy it, it just doesn't make sense. Even if there is a divine creator, he doesn't really care about burning us in hell. And I always say, to these Muslims, it's like, honestly, if I have to deal with you in my lifetime here, I prefer to go to hell, because if you think you're going to heaven, I don't want to deal with you there. I'll go to hell, because we have to deal with them here, and then after, let them have their whores.
We're gonna go to hell anyways. Like
they're so sexually frustrated. I think like the whole Quran, and this boggles my mind, that anybody would have figured out how to reproduce, but we still don't know what's out in the universe. But our God was only worried about talking about women and men and sex and how you can eat a banana and how you should come and all these kind of things. But he forgot totally about telling us there's Mars, there's universe, there's stars, nothing.
Yeah. He was very much concerned about in the case of Islam, he was very much concerned about how much he has sex, who he has sex with, how he
many
has
women
sex.
you can have.
Yeah, and it's a very funny thing, right? I mean, I was just somebody left a comment here, and I was just visualizing that, like in the Islamic heaven. I mean, you don't really. it's so much conceptualized. You don't really think about it and visualize how it would really look. You go to heaven as a Muslim man, or as a Muslim family. You go to heaven, and the man of the family has his wife or wives, and together with that has as many other divinely created weird wives as he wants, these huris, and he can have sex with all of them at the same time. And you are in heaven, and you have these communities of men talking to each other, while every single one of them has like a horde of of women to have sex with. I mean, how does that work?
Well,
How do people even communicate in that
Tariq
under those
Jamil says
circumstances?
it that there is going to be a how many foot tall hur? There's going to be one very tall hur. Like you would really have to climb on her. And
Uh,
he also says that in heaven, you can like the women are gonna have like 21 different kinds of dresses. And every time a dress changes, her makeup changes. Like I would like that technology now here, you know? And then he says that you can see through all those dresses up to her bone marrow. You're gonna have like extra vision. And then you're also gonna have these rivers flowing of alcohol. Yeah, and there's also going to be these young boys there for you.
oh yeah,
Did
they
you
will
hear
serve
that?
you.
Yeah. There's also young men, little boys there too. So it's gonna be a party.
But those boys will not be there for the sexual pleasure of women. They will just serve you, because they are little boy servants. They're beautiful little boys who will serve you and bring you food and drinks and all that.
They're not there
Yeah,
for women. They're there for the men. Or
yeah,
for all
yeah,
these Malvis that are like going after like bachabazi. This whole thing in Afghanistan is a huge thing. Young
yeah,
boys is a huge thing.
yeah,
Like in
yeah.
Pakistan too. Even like this year, there were so many cases coming out of madrasas where young boys were getting molested. There was a guy, I don't know if you know about this one, but there was a student in one of the madrasas, and he's not a kid. He was like in his 20s, early 20s, and he posted this video himself. He was trying to pass exam or whatever, and this Molvi won't pass him. He's like, please, I really need to pass this. So he's like, well, I can pass you, but so he started abusing him, and he still didn't pass him for 3 years, and he kept doing it. So this guy recorded him. And this is an old man in the madrasa. He's holding the Quran like this while the guy is giving him a underneath.
Are you kidding me?
No, this is all on camera. And then he's telling the guy how to do reverse cowgirl, front, and I was just like, wow, there's Quran right there. Huge blasphemy. Huge blasphemy. Yeah, it was a huge thing. And then after that, you keep seeing all these things coming out of the madrasas every single day. Some little kid, some little girl, somebody else got molested. They like all these little boys. Yeah.
That sounds so disturbing. I don't even know what to say at this point. But yeah,
You got. I'll send you that video, man. Oh,
don't don't send me that video.
and you know how many? Then there's another imam too. His videos have gone viral. Like he was butt naked, and his excuse was, this is what he said, that the forensic people in England have said that somebody has taken different parts of his body and put that clip together. Guess what? His stomach is like he's this pregnant, and his downstairs was like this big. So I was like, and I interviewed him. I wanted to ask him which part was edited.
All right. That's very interesting. Yeah, so it's very nice what comes out of this culture, what kinds of sexual frustrations come out of it. I talked about this before. I know we're really going into this whole disgusting stuff right now. I talked about this.
This is the religion. I'm sorry. This is it. I'm sorry. I know it
Yeah,
sounds gross,
I
but
talked about this before. The thing is, I grew up in Germany, and I grew up in this very comfortable culture in terms of genders coming together, talking about all kinds of things. Everyone is comfortable, things go smoothly and all that. People are equal. And then we moved to Turkey, and I started visiting a regular Turkish village. And I'm very sorry to all those who will be offended by this, but I went to the Turkish village, and one of the primary things to talk about is having sex with a donkey, or the experience of boys basically raping a donkey. And I start school, I go to high school in Turkey, go there, and among the boys who are all sexually frustrated because they have no contact with the opposite sex, or not as much as they would like to, not as much as they apparently need to, every kind of physical contact between boys, between men, is interpreted as gay sex, and they cannot stop talking about it and cannot stop making jokes about doing it to each other, doing it with each other, giving each other you know a good time under the desk and things like that. It's like, dude, what the hell, what did I walk into here? I mean, I came from this supposedly dirty, filthy, immoral German culture, and come
Mhm.
here into this Muslim culture that is so proud of its Muslimhood and of its Turkishness, and all I hear is sex with donkeys, sex with animals, uh, having gay sex in the classroom because you need it so much. At least you can have that if you can't approach women, and so on. There's so much sexual frustration going on because of this whole what Islam teaches you about sex, and at the same time it suppresses sex
Mhm.
within the society, and covers women up, and tells men to behave this way and to completely abstain from it, and then they will get an abundance of it in heaven. This just leads to such a disease, a mental disease within Muslim societies that we all know, that we are familiar with.
Well, it leads to animal abuse, like honestly, there's like goats, there's dogs, there's videos coming out of like, oh my God, there's so many videos, and this is what it is. Like something that is natural, and they make it like such a big deal. Oh my God. Like even just when I was saying the word sex, they're like, oh, haram, haram, haram.
Yeah, yeah,
But like if it's such a dirty thing, why do you want to do it so much? We are all here because of that dirty thing. If it's so dirty, why would your parents do it? They want to do it. They all their text teaches you about it, and then and yeah, you were right, like a lot of people become gay, and especially because when you're going through puberty and stuff, if you're not in if you're like separated from the other gender, what are you going to do? You're going to experiment between yourself.
yeah. The thing
um
is, these people are not even really gay. Like they detest it, they dislike
yeah.
it, they think it is an abhorrent thing, but then they joke about it and they play with it because at least we can do this, not the other thing, because that is
Mhm.
forbidden. And the thing is, I mean, I learned from a very young age, as a very young child, I learned how one of the great rewards that I will get as a believer, if I die as a believer of Islam, if I go to heaven, one of the great rewards is getting these, you know, full-breasted women that will look better than anything that I have ever seen on the planet. And I'm a boy. What are you now? What do you now expect me to learn and to grow up with as a boy? And then
Yeah.
how do you reconcile that with suppressing all of that in a society while we are on the earth? What do you think that will lead to? It is just so weird, and it's then no wonder that this culture becomes so obsessive about sex, obsessive about women, so misogynistic, so oppressive, and leads to the abuse that you and many others have experienced. And I'm so
Mhm.
glad that you're out of it, and I'm so glad that you have found your freedom, and I'm
Yes.
so glad that you can say whatever the hell you want about this horribly wicked, sick mindset that you have left behind and that your mother fled from.
Mhm. Yeah,
Congratulations.
no, there's believe me, there's people that still believe. Like I've had people that come up there and they try to debate with me, and this guy was like, "Women still have half a brain," and I'm like, "Okay, let's do an IQ test." Oh no, no, no. So it's like when you get them on there, and I find that for men doing this activism is different, and it's for women it's different because we get a lot more hatred, I find, and we get a lot more abuse. And when a woman is strong and somebody calls you an abusive word, you clap back at them, their ego gets hurt. They're like, how dare this woman She
Mhm.
is half of me. How dare she talk to me like this? Like, they're women, and men's ego get hurt. Even some Indians are like that too. It's just that some continent, it's so misogynistic, and women have always been like the second class citizens. So now that women, when they speak up in front of them, their ego gets hurt, and they're just like, oh shit. And also in Pakistan and in Muslim culture or Islamic culture, they know once their women know the truth, they're not going to be under their control no more. So they're
Mm.
very scared of losing their women. Once the women are educated and they know what their rights are, they lose. So they have to make sure that they control this. They have to keep that control.
Yeah, yeah. In a Muslim society, according to the Islamic teachings, you are supposed to be, as a man of the family and as a man of the society, you're supposed to have a tight grip over the women and over the women in society and the women in your household. That is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to keep them from becoming independent and all that. And because being independent as a woman is bad, we see the same thing with Aisha from Australia, Infidel Noodle. She started speaking out. We have Nuria Khan. She started speaking out, and although they just started, and I have been here forever. When Muslims respond to me, it's like they respond to their equal who happens to say terrible things about their religion. But when they respond to Infidel Noodle and Nuria Khan, and also to you now, they are. They are using a much different language, a very a very abusive, degrading, humiliating language, because to them they are talking about a lesser being, a lesser person who is supposed to be humble. So, and one of the most common things is that they will attack you on a sexual basis, whether it is a remark
Yeah.
about you as a woman or about you as what your supposed sexual motives are by leaving Islam or criticizing Islam or talking about it. It's always there's always this dehumanizing factor to that, and that is
Mhm.
Islamic in a sense, in its
Yeah.
essence.
They kind of, their brains are so small, they can only process from our clothes to sex, and that's it. Oh,
Mhm.
this, she is showing this skin, she must be this, and then they just only can call us some names, and that's it. But it's getting old. It's like, it's getting old. We know who we are. It's just you're showing us how Islam represents, and Islam teaches you this. Like, anytime these guys come and they call me, I show their comments, and I'm like, look, this is a representation of Islam. Don't come and tell me I am, destroying the name of Islam. You're doing it yourself. When
Yeah.
you come here and call me all these kinds of horrible names, and like 98% of them are from Muslims. I mean, you're doing the representation of Islam. That means Islam teaches you, when you see a woman, you swear at her and you called her all these nasty names. You're supposed to. Even in Quran, like, Quran is swearing at kafirs or kufr the whole time.
Yeah,
Calling
yeah,
them
yeah.
dogs and pigs. And what kind of Allah is this? Like, Allah Almighty, who created this, like, so many planets, is like, with a is acting like a little child. Oh, you don't believe in me? You're a pig. You don't believe in me? You're this. Why would he want to do that? It's just so weird. Yeah.
There are even some verses in which Allah has a very angry reaction to, like, what the hell, like almost like translated to what the hell, like in these terms that they use, oof upon them. What do they think? Who do they think they are? Why will they not believe? Why will they, like, dude? You're supposed to be Allah. You're supposed to be
I don't know. Quran is so
the
confusing.
master of
Sometimes it's
patience.
talking first person and third person, and it's just like all over the place. You're like, who are you talking about? Who's talking here now? Is it Allah talking or is it Muhammad talking? It's like
Yeah,
that circular argument, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
who sent the Quran? Allah did. Who told you? Muhammad did. So it's like you keep going in circles.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think from what I have seen, and it's very happy because I have been watching it behind the scenes, like, since 2017. You have grown so much. I've seen David Wood, I've seen Harris, I've seen Ghalib, and now every day there's different ex-Muslim channels growing up. Now there is some with certain kind of agenda, but there's women out coming out too now that are actually genuine, which we need. We need more women to come out who show their face and talk
Absolutely.
about this. Because believe me, once the women start leaving this religion, these men will have nothing.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
they will have to turn gay. Oh, talking about gay. So there was There was this one man in Pakistan. He told me, he was like a media person, and he told me he used to get like this Pathan young guy coming to his house to give him oral, but he said he was not gay. That was his thinking. He was like, no, I'm not gay, but he's just performing on me. And I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess so.
Like,
Uh,
logic.
it's a lot of
But
fun
then
talking
again,
to you. I want to quickly take some super chats here.
sure.
Let's look at them. My system doesn't show them up from the very beginning, which is pretty bad. But what we can do is I will quickly share my screen here so we can have a proper outlook on them, and then we can respond to those here. All right. So, Hindu historian said, thanks, Hindu historian, for always being here. Would you support a movement to repeal M103 in Canada?
Oh, of course. Yeah. We actually did an event with Tariq Fateh in it. But it still passed. But you know what? I'm still here talking about Islam. So I guess it's not that much Islamophobic, right? If it was like, oh my God, you can't talk anything about it. Because they can't. What is Islamophobia? If I say you kill gays, throw them off the roof, it's a fact. It's not being Islamophobic. So they haven't defined it. What is Islamophobia yet?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yakov Kratzberg said, I agree with La ilah, and that's it. Thank you so much. Jenny Elif said, greetings from Greece. You're both wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenny Elif. I appreciate it. Kasim Tufail made a super sticker. Looks nice. Thank you. XXWLZXX said, hey, AP, I was researching divorce rates worldwide, and I found that the crude divorce rates of Islamic countries are either on par or higher than the West. So much for Sharia preserving marriage. Hey, but don't you know that that is the fault of Western influence on Islamic culture? That's why that is happening. That's why there are such high divorce rates in the Middle East, for example. It's because of the Western influence. Yeah. Are you aware of this?
Is the Jewish or is the Raw planning against them? Everything is a Yehudi Sadesh.
Yeah, I'm sure you get that too, right? Yeah. I'm sure you get that too. You are being that you are apparently a secret agent supported by the Jews or something. Yeah.
Oh, and the Raw Indians, yeah. Before I was Indians, and then because in some of the Indians also, came across my channel and found me very offensive. They were like, "Oh no, she's still a Muslim. She's still working with the Pakistanis. She's an ISI." And I'm like, "You're acting the exact same way the other people do." Yeah, it's the same both sides.
Yeah. Gainsborough said, Ridwan, stop running and debate Shake Your Booty.
Who's that?
Shaky Booty was a guest on my channel yesterday. If you look at my last video before our conversation, you will see Shaky Booty. He's actually a very good, respectable Islamic scholar.
Okay.
He made a video called 10 Reasons Why You Should Become a Muslim. And I'm just kidding. It's a parody of me. I called myself Shaky Booty and made such a video. You should check it out.
I like those videos though. They're funny.
Shiv Rajput said, Ashik e Mahleej. What does it mean?
So it means, you know how they say lover of prophet? So he's writing lover of Mahleej. Everybody press likes. Everybody. Because there's a lot of people here. There's a stalker here too, Ridwan. Be careful.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. I bring weirdos with me.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't understand what this says anyway. I have to have her translate it for me. Please, everybody, make sure to speak American. Thank you. Ultra said G fire block. I have no idea what that means. Maybe I'm just not keeping up with the times. I don't know. Do you know what that means?
Dum Maro Dum is like a song, like, puff on, puff on.
Oh.
It has something to do with puffing.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, thank you for that as well. I'm really becoming foreign here. Native Atheist said, kudos to ex-Muslims. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Native Atheist. Thank you. And thank you for leaving a comment in English. Stop Scamming Man said, oh, here, I can now put this on the screen and we can be done with this. Now I can see the rest. Stop Scamming Man said, the messenger of Allah said, no woman harms her husband, but his wife among Houris says, do not harm him. May Allah destroy you. He is a temporary guest, will leave you and join us. Hassan ibn Majah. he is a temporary guest, will leave you.
I
Do not
don't get
harm him.
it. No woman harms her husband, but is
Oh, okay. No woman harms her husband. I'm having a hard time processing this because I don't see
yeah,
punctuations here. No woman
yeah,
harms her husband, but his wife among the Huris says, "Do not harm him. May Allah." Okay, yeah. So according to the hadith, according to several hadith, this is one of them. When a woman hurts her husband, or when a woman, saddens her husband, then the Huris in heaven will curse the woman for harming her husband. The Huris are on the side of the husband, and they will say, "How dare you? How dare you? How dare you harm him? How dare you hurt him?" It's just like the angels who, when the husband calls his wife for sex to bed and she doesn't want to for some reason, then the angels will curse her all night for being so
yeah.
disobedient and being so unpleasant. So, yeah.
There's also another one too. Apparently back in the days, I guess women were giving birth on a camel. So it's said that, even if you're giving birth and you're on a camel and your child's popping out, and if your husband says, "Come have sex with me," you better go do that first
Yeah.
and then give birth. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there was somebody that shared it that I won't say, and he was kind of making fun of it because he makes fun of like ridiculous things. But then he found out it was actually true, and he was a Muslim, so he had to take it down. He was like, "Shit, this is actually true. I can't share this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was just distracted because I'm getting a call by somebody who's supposed to come and do some work here. Um, Stop Scamming Man said apologists claim Aisha was a scholar to defend the marriage at that age. Was she a scholar? A scholar is one who critically analyzes texts, not one who chats about her husband, however prolifically. Yeah, one of the major excuses that Muslim apologists often make about the child marriage of between Muhammad and Aisha is that she lived a very long life after him and she knew everything about him, and she shared the most hadiths. She was thereby a scholar. She educated herself about Islam thoroughly and delivered so much information that Muslims can preserve and all that. Yeah, but I'm sorry, that was not necessary at all. He didn't have to marry a little child for that to happen.
Mhm.
Uh, she wasn't even the last wife who died, was she? I think there was another wife was the last one who died among his wives. He didn't have to marry her at all. That was completely unnecessary. There is simply no excuse to this. It wasn't necessary of the most perfect human being to ever walk the face of the earth, guided by Allah according to Allah's perfect plan, to marry a child in order to preserve his perfect message. That is not.
Mhm.
That is a very terrible excuse. And was she a scholar? I mean, is that what you call a scholar? Somebody who simply memorizes a lot of things about Muhammad and a lot of things that the people have said, and many of them are even considered controversial. Some of them contradict with other authentic reports about Muhammad and things that he said. It's just a terrible excuse. I don't know.
Yeah, people come up with so many different excuses. This one guy told me Abu Bakr, they were traveling, and Abu Bakr wanted to have her travel with him, and I'm like, why couldn't he become her father or her brother? Like there was a lot of different ways he could have taken care of her. Why marry her? And he's
Yeah.
like, well, she already had a father. Well, obviously he couldn't take care of her, so he could have adopted her or become a brother. There's a lot of different why marry a child. And then the other argument they always bring up is like, oh, it was in that time everybody was doing it, where I haven't seen an example of anybody else marrying a 6-year-old. Okay, 12, 13, 14, but not a 6-year-old. Do you?
Mhm. The thing is, we can't know very much about his own culture because people don't talk very much in the sources about the ages. It wasn't very common as it seems.
Yeah,
His was
we don't come across anybody else. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many stories. Nobody else has married anybody that's six
and
years old.
and in his time, in neighboring cultures, people weren't marrying children at such a young age. I mean, among the Romans, it was common to marry them when they are, very much teenagers. That is as young as they would go, for
I
example. But
think any culture would have figured it out on their own that, okay, a woman is starting her period, and then after a while, that's when she gets pregnant. It's like two and two put together, right? And I'm pretty sure even in those days and stuff, like if you were to have sex with a really young person, like you can get hurt. Like I don't think it was something that common people were doing, and people were so stupid to have 9 year olds, you know, you can actually destroy the woman's interiors, like
Yeah, yeah,
everything in that child. She can never become pregnant. She can never have a child again. You can like really hurt her body. So I'm sure people knew about that at
yeah.
that time.
And you, it's a bad excuse to say it was simply normal back then. Everyone was doing it. That would simply mean that that Muhammad was not very special. He was not outside of his time. He just did things that people in his culture did, even if they
Yeah.
were abhorrent, even if they were very terrible and destructive, and he didn't know about that. If he is the guy that Muslims claim he is, rightly guided by Allah, inspired all the time, bringing all these beautiful new things, then he should have known about this. If it is bad to marry a little child and to have sex with her and to basically destroy her, then he should have known that. He shouldn't have participated in something that was supposedly normal as they claim.
Mhm.
That just doesn't look like somebody who's the perfect example for all human beings of all
Yeah.
times.
No, this is what it gets complicated because I had a guy who was like, okay, you know what, this was happening at that time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but it is a sunnah for you to follow in Prophet's footsteps, right? And he's like, oh, it's not happening today in this day and age, which it is.
It
But then
is.
Quran also says it is for all times, so it says, okay, if it happened then, it should be happening now too, and it's your sunnah. How can you go against your sunnah now?
Yeah, yeah.
So both ways it's kind of so sometimes they have no answers. Like some of these guys that come and debate with me, there were a couple of them, they were like, good point, I got them on few points, and they were forced to think. They had no answers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Vic London said, can Mahleej talk about Hindus in Pakistan situation, etc.? Uh, it's very vague. There's a lot of stuff to talk
Yeah,
about
well,
there, I
in
guess. Thank you.
short, the poor Hindus, yes, they are being targeted, and they don't live a lavish life, but I also hung around with Hindus that were in politics, and they were rich people. They had everything. They were in politics, and they hung around with Muslims. They drank together. They ate in the same plates. There was no problem. The thing is, the Hindus in Pakistan, the ones that are in higher places, they need to fight for the other Hindus that are being converted and that are being tortured and stuff. So they have to start speaking up for them. But money talks, right? As long as they're making their money, they don't really do that. Same thing with the Christian community as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Benjamin Iota said, what are Mahleej's thoughts on where Pakistan is headed in the next 10 years? Will more people question and think critically?
With everything going on right now, yes, people are thinking critically, but at the same time, the extremism is growing, so they're very quiet. I think there's going to be an Islamic revolution in Pakistan, just the way everything is becoming so Islam, Islam, Islam. The whole education curriculum has been changed. Now they want you to bring Quran to schools, everything. Once you start messing around with your studies and your education system, you're destroying that generation. So in the next 10 years, these are the kids that are young right now. Like you see the 20-year-olds now, 25-year-olds, like these kids, the guy who got killed in the Sialkot, the guy who was burnt, majority of them were like under 25. So just imagine the next 10 years, the generation, how that's going to be. If you see even some of the videos you see of like 3-4-year-old kids, people make those and they've got like swords in their hand and they're like, oh, for Prophet Muhammad we will chop you, gustakh rasul ki ek hi saza sartan se juda, meaning like whoever disrespects the prophet, we should just slash his neck.
Yeah.
So that's the future.
Thank you for that. I hope for the best. What can I say?
Yeah.
Raj said, thank you so much for the super chat. Non-weirdo Hindu here and totally support you guys. Real pre-Islamic history needs to be brought out though. Yeah, I agree. Nothing I can add. I agree. Thank you. I appreciate it. Also within God's reasoning made a super chat and said, I love you, Sister Gedalia. Sister Gedalia. Oh, Sister Gedalia is somebody who is in the chat. I guess they're declaring their love for each other. That's very interesting. So yeah, that's nice. That's fun. Interesting. Erkin Alpgüney said in a super chat, he's Turkish. Interestingly enough, Allah said F every time he wanted to say Mary. Yeah. There is you can't even find a thing in the Quran. There is a specific verse in which it talks about how Muhammad has certain special privileges when it comes to women. If they want to give themselves to him, then he can simply take them without any further procedure, such as giving them a thing in return, and that is only for him, not for the other Muslims, only for him, so that he doesn't endure any difficulties, any problems in his sexual desires, I guess.
He would have like unlimited, and the others were only allowed for.
Yeah. But
And,
hey, he only did that because he wanted to preserve the ties and all that.
And it's funny because even one time, if you hear Aisha is like, every time something happens, all of a sudden God sends a message to you, and the next day there's a scripture that is written there. Because I don't know if you remember, I think it was Maria, the slave, Hafsa's slave girl. And Huzur went there, Muhammad went there, and he sent the wife somewhere, or your dad's calling you or something. And when she came back, she saw him, she caught him having sex with the slave, right? And so she was pretty pissed and stuff. She got angry, and he was like, okay, don't tell anybody, blah, blah, blah. I'm not, this is haram for me. She's haram for me. I'm not going to do it, blah, blah, blah. But she talked to Aisha, and then they were like talking and stuff. But the next day, there's there's a thing that comes down saying that, everything is halal. Whatever has God has made halal for you, how can you say it is haram? This is made halal for you, and if the women give you trouble for it, we will provide you better virgins and better women than them, and you can divorce them. Like, what kind of God is this? There's a saying called papi kutni. These are like those old women that are like gossiping and making people fight and stuff. This is the word I would give that.
Yeah, the story is Mary the Copt as his servant slave that he received as a gift, Muhammad, and he's caught apparently having sex with her. And the thing is, there is a controversy in the narratives, because according to one narrative, it was him having having sex with her and then being caught by one of his wives. According to the other narrative, it is about eating honey or drinking honey. The funny thing is, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they get angry at him for eating or drinking honey? And the thing is,
drinking honey eating off of somebody else?
Or eating honey is a metaphor for that, for enjoying his slave, enjoying a woman. And then they spread the word, and he gets angry at them, and and the Quran verse basically comes down and says, why do you make haram for yourself what Allah has made halal for you? So now go and do whatever you want. So he goes and is like, oh yeah, I forbid it to myself because I respected you, wives, but sorry, I can now do whatever I want because Allah told me. So I will now go and drink honey again. Thanks. That's what he said. So.
It's like when he wanted to marry his adopted son's daughter. Right. The next day it was like, it was like, I was so much involved with Muhammad's sexual life and desires and all of that. That's all there is.
It's important. It's very important.
What about the women? Well, like, what in the whole Quran? I asked this the other day. In the whole Quran, does it ever even talk about women's satisfaction? Does it even talk about, like, I know it talks about a guy releasing. Does it even explain that a woman can also release? Nothing.
Nobody cares about
nothing about women. We have no feelings. We're just to just be there. That's it.
Nobody cares about women. Let's move on.
It's like, hey, what do you call it? Sang, bang, thank you, ma'am, or something. Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
That is no.
Or Allahu Akbar, thank you, or something. Opal Ian said said hugs and kisses. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Um, all right. All right. Let's see here. Eric Abkane said Islam shared pedophilia with contemporaneous practices in creative. I'm not sure. I don't know about that. I don't have enough knowledge on that matter. But thank you for sharing that information. Super chats, super chats. Luigi Santuriello made a super chat of $1.34. I love it when people just make these very specific amounts of super chats, because I do that too when I make super chats. Kashvinder Singh said, "Hey AP, please consider making a video on the YouTuber Trey the Explainer's video on Abrahamic religions. I will check it out. I'll keep it in mind. Thank you so much. I appreciate it."
Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Oh, okay. Also, within God's reasoning, made a super chat again and said, "AP, Gedalia is one of your moderators. I know. She's a sister in Christ. We are called to love one another." Oh, okay. So that was just that. I thought there was more to this. But yeah, if that's just it, I'm sorry for misrepresenting what you said, but if that's just it, then that's just it. No, I know Gedalia is one of the moderators here, and she's very helpful, and I really appreciate her help very much. So if we're just talking about Christians loving each other in Christ, I get it. Thank you for the clarification. MJ said, "Jesus loves you, Mahleej. Please don't hate Christ."
See, my thing on that is I don't hate anyone. You can believe in whoever you want, right? You can believe in Santa Claus. I don't care. But if you go and start killing in the name of Santa Claus, then I have a problem with it. So do whatever you want to believe in, whatever makes you happy. I have no problem with it. As long as your belief is not affecting on the other person. You're not forcing your opinion on the other person.
Yeah.
That's all I believe.
Please don't blow yourselves up in the name of Santa Claus. It's very horrible. Masih Muslim said, Muslims for Jesus, said, "Is that a thing? Should the Muslims living in Christian countries participate in the Christmas celebrations? Should Muslims living in Christian countries participate in the Christmas celebrations, irrespective of the correct date?" Yes, they should. Huh. Should they participate? I mean, is it like they're supposed to participate or they can participate? Because the language here sounds like they should participate. They should do it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, people should just do whatever they want, right?
I think in Christian countries now they have stopped saying Merry Christmas. It's become more like Happy Holidays, and some Christians are mad about it. And I think it's okay. Like I say Merry Christmas. A lot of places you can't put up Christmas trees, so it is happening here. A lot of Muslims say that don't wish Merry Christmas, but I will tell you what Muslims do celebrate. So this is back in the day when I was going through a rough time. So I went to Salvation Army. Salvation Army is that what they do during Christmas, they do a toy drive. So you can go there and they tell you, okay, this is how old your kid is. They'll get you some toys. They will get you some food. And they actually got her a lot of toys. So when I went to go pick it up, I could see the bags. And let me tell you, just by in the front, they were all Muslim names. They were all Muslims names. They will not wish you Merry Christmas, but to get free toys and free stuff, they were there. Because Salvation Army doesn't discriminate. It's not for just Christians. It's for everybody. So, they are very nice. Christian countries are very nice. I would definitely say Christians are very giving. But you won't see the same thing happening on Eid. They do Eid drives. They collect toys on Eid and stuff. Now, do they hand it out to Christians? No. It's only for the Muslims, right?
That is interesting. Yeah, I'm very familiar with things regarding in regular Muslim culture, people rejecting certain values and practices of other religions, but then participating in them whenever it benefits them in a way. It's
Oh yeah.
Don't do that. Jennifer LaFontaine said no one has to participate in anything. LOL. Absolutely. Prashant Dutt said there is no God. Well, that's just your opinion. And
yeah, I just like to go to parties. There's food, there's people. I'll go to even an Eid party, but there's no alcohol. So that's why I kind of don't go, just food.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Or you sneak in your own, little bottle.
Yeah. Yamata said, "Love you, AP." Thank you so much. I love you too. That always feels very special to tell people that I love them. Divakar Kumar said Mohammed Boom Boom Room. Yeah, that's been a while, right? Benjamin Ayota said, "Do you see a difference between how Western-born Pakistanis interpret Islam versus how Pakistanis born in Pakistan interpret Islam, younger versus older generation? Do you?"
You know what? There's both kinds everywhere. The problem with the Western Muslims are that they have like an identity crisis. They can't relate themselves unless they give up everything and then they just totally live like a Canadian does, do whatever they want. Then it is okay. But to keep those values and try to be a Christian, it can get very complicated. So I see them. I've seen a lot of people that go totally towards Islam because they're like, oh my God, we're going to totally lose our culture, totally lose our religion. So I find them a little bit more like that. Whereas in Pakistan, I came across a lot of open-minded people, but then there's messed up people in Pakistan too. I guess there's both, but yeah, people here have like a little bit of identity crisis.
Yeah, it's normal. It happens.
Hi, Ghalib. Ghalib is here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Hello, Ghalib. Oh, here. Good to see Mahleej with AP. Hey, thank you. I'll be happy to have you on here sometime as well. Yeah, I want to say quickly, since there was a serious discussion about this, Santa doesn't exist, everybody. Santa is not real. I'm sorry
I
to
can't
say
tell
this.
that. My mom said that to my child, right? Like one day, and I was like, please let her enjoy it till she's like 9 years old. And till this day, she's like, but Nano said he's not real. I'm like, if you don't believe in him, he's gonna bring you no presents. And I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah. All right. I really enjoyed this. Thanks, everybody so much. Thank you, Mahleej, for being here. And again, I want to stress it again. Don't forget to subscribe to Mahleej's YouTube channel. It is right there down in the description box. I have linked her YouTube channel, her new YouTube channel, which she just started. So please go and subscribe there again. Yeah, she started over. Please go and subscribe there. Should be very interesting, and I believe she can share a lot of good, great stuff in the future. Please support. I truly appreciated having you on here, Mahleej. And there's also a link under that for her channel in Urdu for all those who want to follow and watch that as well. And while you are here,
Sorry,
go ahead.
thank you so much, AP, for having me here and giving me all this time. I loved your audience as well, and it was a fun show. It was not like an interview, but more like talking. I liked it. It was
Yeah,
fun.
no, it's fun. It was a pleasure talking to you. I really
Yeah, same
loved
here.
it. I appreciate it. Okay,
All right.
everybody,
Bye, everybody.
don't forget to like the stream, and to share it with all your family and your extended relatives and all that. Dark Obsession made a final super chat here. Thank you so much, and didn't say anything. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Mahleej, anything else that you want to add before we leave?
No, I just want to say that everybody please support our work by sharing. Super chats is always helpful, but sharing, liking. So that supports us a lot. We put ourselves out there. So I love everyone's support. And thank you, AP. You are the prophet, Hail Master.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody, and have a fantastic day, and stay away from Islam.